You probably, most of you already know this concept, but there's a Japanese concept, I believe, called Shu-Ha-Ri, right? So if you see over here, there's an egg, or there's a chicken or something inside this egg, and the guy is just like trying to understand what's going on, right? Like, what are the rules? What are the applied to Scrum? What are the events? Why are we doing this? Why are we having a stand-up? And I think that we have all been there as agile coaches or scrum masters, right? Where the team is asking constantly every time a new team that is just starting with Scrum, they are asking all the time, Hector, I don't see the value between having 5 daily meetings every week, like every day. Come on. Yeah, they are asking why. They are trying to understand the rules of the game, right? The rules of the framework that we chose. So once they get it and they say, well, this is promoting communication, they have the reasons, they understand why are we doing these meetings, they understand why the retrospective, why the sprint review, why the daily, why the planning. Now they are following the rule, right? They are in the shoe. This is kind of a maturity 3-step concept or something. So when they are in the shoe, if the team mates come to me as a scrum master and they say, well, we don't want to have sprint review because every work that we did during this sprint has to do only with backend, so we don't have anything nice to show our stakeholders, so we don't want to have it. If they were in the shoe, which is they are just starting with Scrum and they are learning, I as a scrum master, I will tell them, no, we will have it. Even if you don't have nothing to present to stakeholders, we will have them. We will show them what's the value behind whatever you did this sprint. Even if you're not going to show the code maybe, but that code somehow is related to some business value, right? And then there's the technique of the 5 whys, like, why did we do this database adjustment? And then you say, well, because the database was really slow. Okay, but why do we care if it's slow? Well, because if we added these indexes, then it will be faster, and then the application will, the website, for example, will, download or upload, whatever. You will see it faster, right? You will be able to interact faster. So if you ask these 5 whys, which is a technique that doesn't have anything to do with the slide, sorry, but I got deviated to that. So if you start applicating these, there should be a moment where you can, any single technical story, you can find the business value, right? So that's what my answer would be. If the team is in the shoe, let's try to figure out what's the value, and let's try to have the review meeting. And if the team says, well, we only want to have 2 dailies, well, are you in the shoe? Yes. Well, then we have to have the 5, right? Whenever the team starts understanding the rule, they start looking at why are we having all these rules and all these ceremonies and all these artifacts, and they start playing by the rules and understand them, then they are ready to move to the ha, right? Which is, okay, I know the rules. I know why we're having a daily. Now I'm proposing stuff. I'm trying to figure out a better way, right? I'm looking at, well, this rule is okay, but what if we do this? What if we do this other thing? What if we implement to our process this tool, right? So basically, when you go to the ha, you start questioning the rules and you start trying to adapt them to a Mexican environment or to the context of your company, right? So that's okay, right? So over there, I will say, well, if you guys want to have 3 instead of 5 daily scrums, let's talk about the advantages, the value that will bring, right? Let's talk about let's probably do it during 1 sprint, and let's see how much value can we bring, right? Let's do it the 2nd sprint and see and compare, right? And if it works, probably we can keep doing it, right? So that's kind of my approach as an agile coach to the teams that are in the ha. But then I have also worked with teams that are in the re, right? And these guys have already, it means be the rule, right? So over here, it's like understand the rule, then modify or adapt the rule, and then over here is like be the rule, right? You can imagine this when this Neo from the Matrix just starts putting the bullets away, and he finally gets it, right? Like, he's the guy, he's the chosen one. Well, that's when you're in the re, right? You have a team that totally gets it, that they are like wolves, right? Going together and communicating really well, and the guys are delivering a lot of value. They are finishing every sprint the sprint goal. They say, well, we should be doing this instead of this. And I, as an agile coach, I say, oh, guys, please be my guest, right? Do it and let's evaluate how it goes. And yeah, whatever you decide, let's just be the rule, right? Be the guide, right? That's kind of how I understand this Shu-Ha-Ri concept. And the message over here is, as Scrum Masters or Agile coaches, or even if you guys are developers, or if you're working around Scrum, probably this will help you have some arguments whenever you want to either decide if the team should change something in the framework, or if you're asking for your Scrum Masters or your POs or your managers for some changes around the way that we're working, right? So that's kind of the message. What does the guide say? Well, everything that I said over here is my theory. The guide, I don't want to tell any incorrect message, so I'm going to state the guide. Changing the core design, well, basically it says if you change Scrum, you're screwed, right? It would probably not work, right? So I'm thinking that this part of the Scrum guide is for the persons or the teams that are starting to implement it. That's where I see these texts going, and I see myself pushing my teams towards following every single thing that the Scrum guide says. But as you, as a team, go from the Shu to the Ri, I would probably start ignoring parts of this, and probably I should not say that, but that's what I think, right? So, but you need to be in the Ri to propose or to change something, right? I have seen teams that are just starting, and the second iteration they say, we don't think that the dailies are worth it. No, well, then you will see the value later, right? But you need to do them, right? So that's kind of the approach that I follow. I just wanted to share that with you. And then there's the, I think this is the last slide, and we have some time. This is the Spotify logo, and I put it over here because I also want to share that, you know, Spotify created a model, and I have seen this model, Scrum escalation model, right, with chapters and tribes, and this is like, for the ones that do not know it, it's like it's like the alternative to Safe or to Less or to Nexus. Is a way, it's a framework or an escalated framework where you can identify dependencies and where you can work together towards collaboration, and also, well, it's a framework, right? Escalation framework. You can create a way of collaborating together that makes sense. So the thing is, the message that I want to give is that Spotify did it for them. They figured out a way to work with what they have in their context. And then the whole world said, well, if it's working for Spotify, it will work for me. And I'm, I don't know, these guys, right? I don't want to say brands, but yeah, Logi or whatever. So then everyone started copying the Spotify model, right? And these days, Spotify is not even doing the Spotify model anymore. They are doing another thing that they invented, of course. And my dream, or the thing that I would like to see at some point in the world that is doing Scrum, is to have a X brand model or Y brand model or A brand model, right? So how I think of it is every single company should find their own model, right? There are models over there, frameworks to escalate Scrum. That's great. You can use them as a base, as a starting point. But at some point, we all need to do like Spotify, right? We need to find, let's say, the EPAM model, right? That's what I can say about Spotify and about escalation frameworks.